what is the schwa sound? And do you really need to know it? The answer is yes. If you want to speak English like a native English speaker, you need to understand the schwa sound. You need to know how to identify it, and you need to know, of course, how to say it in words. That is what we're going to talk about in this video. And by the end, you are going to be much more confident about speaking words naturally like a native English speaker. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe. And now let's get into it. There is a sound that we could call part of native spoken English, and we call it the schwa sound. The schwa sound. Now, what is the schwa sound? Well, this is just a name for a sound that can be in the place of other vowels. So it's kind of a vowel sound, but it can be in the place of all other vowels. A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes Y. And we're going to look at some examples, right? But first I want to just show you what the sound looks like. Here it is. Are you ready? Now, that might sound like U, and it is probably closest to the U, the short U sound. That is the relaxed sound. Except sometimes you can barely even hear it because it goes by so quickly. This sound is very important in spoken English because it is a big part of what makes a word sound natural when it is spoken. If I say a word like potato, and I say every single syllable with the same stress, if I say every single syllable with the same stress, right? Then that is going to sound odd. It's going to sound very formal. It's going to sound very robotic. Listen to this. Potato. Potato. I want to have some potatoes. I want to eat potatoes. Does that sound natural to you? Well, hopefully your answer is no. It doesn't sound natural. What we do with words is, to make them sound natural, stress some syllables more than others. And if a syllable is stressed, then it will not be the schwa sound. But if a syllable is unstressed, it may be pronounced with the schwa sound. So let's look at that specific example here. P-O-T-A-T-O. Okay, so now we've said we do not say potato. Okay, so what do we say? We say potato, 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 potato. So a couple things that are interesting are happening here. We changed this T to a light D sound. So instead of potato, it's potato, potato. So this T is still there, and then this T becomes a light D. Potato, potato, potato. Okay. And then, do you hear every single vowel, the O, the A, and the O? If you answer yes, you're wrong. It's not. You hear this one, te, and then you probably hear this one, O. But here you do not hear po or pa. You hear put like that. Put. That is the that I told you is the schwa sound. Put. That's the schwa sound. So, potato. The schwa sound is here. It is this, what we could call an unstressed syllable. An unstressed syllable. So what's the stressed syllable? Well, this one is the stressed syllable, the second syllable. This syllable has, or this word has how many syllables? Potato. 3 syllables. It is a 3-syllable word. And the second one is stressed. The second syllable, te, is stressed. The first one is totally unstressed. And so it has the schwa sound. And then the last one is kind of neutral. It's not stressed. It's not totally unstressed. We can still hear the vowel O, but it doesn't have a lot of stress on it. So, which one sounds more natural? Potato or potato? Potato, 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 potato. That sounds nice, right? Sounds very natural. Well, again, why does it sound natural? Because we're stressing different syllables and we're using the schwa sound for not always the unstressed syllable, but often unstressed syllables. And also, we're changing this second T to a light D. And that's what makes it sound so natural. That's what makes it sound so nice. Now, we're going to look at 4 words, and we're going to explore the schwa sound through these 4 words. I want to say one thing before we do that. This is not about rules. The schwa sound is not super strict, right? So people say words slightly differently. Yes, there is official pronunciation, but sometimes is that the schwa sound or just the U sound? You know, sometimes it's not super clear. But generally, we can say, oh, that syllable's unstressed and it's not a very strong sound, so maybe that's the schwa sound. The line is often a little bit fuzzy, but we can explore this. And another thing that I want to make very clear, every vowel can be the schwa sound. A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes Y. Okay? So let's look at 4 words. First one. Okay, now what do you see here? Well, if I say this like a robot, then I will say I or ni, animation. Now, that's not wrong, but if we say this really naturally, this I becomes the schwa sound. And so instead of saying clear I sound, animation, we instead say so this becomes more like a almost a n. It's actually the schwa sound, but it's more like a n. And then this is the stress syllable. Animation. Now, as an interesting point, if you have a word that has tion at the end, and tion is the end of the word, usually, almost always, the syllable that goes right in front of tion will be stressed. And so that's almost a rule. It's actually more of a pattern that you can remember when it comes to word stress. If you have that word that ends in tion, like caution, or motion, or emotion, or animation, if you have that tion at the end, then it's probably going to be stressed right in front of that, okay? So how do we say this differently? Animation, 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 animation. Instead of animation, animation, animation. Now, is this the schwa sound? If this were the schwa sound, it would be like this, animation, animation, instead of animation. So the A is there. It is not a stressed syllable, but it's kind of a neutral syllable. So we can say that that one is not the schwa sound. Okay? Animation. Okay, let's look at a longer word here. MISC, and that is how it is often abbreviated, by the way, MISC. ELLANEOUS. Okay. Now for this one, it's kind of unique because eus is actually two syllables. Eus. Okay, so listen to this one. Miscellaneous. Miscellaneous. Okay, now, do you hear a clear I sound? Miscellaneous. No. So probably we've got the schwa here, because it's not miscellaneous usually. Now, if someone pronounces it miscellaneous, okay, then we can say, all right, that's the I sound, that's not the schwa sound. And again, not a hard rule. If someone says it like that, you can't say, you're wrong, idiot, moron. No, you're not wrong. That's just how they say it. It's okay. This is definitely the schwa sound. Miscellaneous, this almost not there. So whenever you have these unstressed vowels in syllables that are almost not there, you can almost not even hear them, then likely it's going to be the schwa sound. Miscellaneous. So this is closer. So this is, I would say, right on the line, in the way I would say it, most people would say it, right on the line between just the regular I sound and the schwa sound. Again, some people will say miscellaneous and some people will say miscellaneous, right? That's on the line. This one is definitely the schwa sound. And then laneous. Okay, so that is the stressed syllable there. And then eus. Now, we can hear the E very clearly, so that one is just the regular E sound, eus. But this one is, I would again say, right on the line between a schwa sound and a us sound. If we say miscellaneous, us, and it's a very clear sound, okay, maybe that's the short U. If we say miscellaneous, cius, that's pretty close to almost not being there. Cius. So that might be the schwa sound. Again, you could say that's the schwa sound or not the schwa sound. You could say this one is the schwa sound or not the schwa sound. It's pretty close. This one is very clearly the schwa sound, and this one is very clearly the stressed syllable. So miscellaneous. Okay? So it's an exploration. Now, the question, I think, is how do you know? Well, I suppose you could look it up. But again, since there are no hard rules about which sounds are schwa, looking it up could be a challenge because you may find different answers in different places. So it really comes down to, I believe, the best tool you have, which is your ears. These beautiful two holes in the sides of your head that you can use to hear, hey, that's stressed. That's a stressed syllable. Or, oh, that is not a stressed syllable. Definitely not. That may be a schwa sound. If it's barely there and it's skipped over very quickly and it doesn't exactly sound like its sound, like I or you or O, then yeah, maybe it is the schwa sound. Okay, let's do two more. inexcusable. Okay, inexcusable. Listen, now listen. Use your ears. Inexcusable. Inexcusable. Okay, so inexcusable. I think that the I is there. I think that's the I sound. Some people may say and that again may be close to the schwa sound, but I think that's the I. Inexcusable. I think this is the schwa sound. Okay. Now, if you pronounced it inexcusable, then the excusable. That's the difference. Let me say this again as a robot. Inexcusable. 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 Okay. Very robotic, not very natural. Inexcusable. Right on the line with the I sound, this is pretty clearly the schwa sound. Inexcusable. Inexcusable. It's almost not there, so that's the schwa sound. Excusable. Excusable. Okay, well, this is clearly the stressed syllable. And then zibble, 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 zibble. I think this one is the schwa sound. Because it's zibble. And you're going from the Z here, it's a S, but it's a Z sound. Zib, 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 zibble, 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 zib, 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 zib. So you're not really focusing on the A. If you focused on the A, zabble, 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 okay, then I suppose you would say that's not the schwa sound. So I think we have two schwa sounds here. Inexcusable, inexcusable, inexcusable. Okay? And that sounds, of course, much more natural. Now let's look at a fun one. Last one here. H I P P O P O T A M U S. Okay. So let me say this like a robot, as I have been so far. Hippopotamus. 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 Sounds unnatural, right? All right, let's try it naturally. Hippopotamus. 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 Okay, so once again, and I think we're seeing a trend here with I. I is often on the line for these unstressed syllables. I think this one you could say is either I or schwa. It's right on the line. I don't even know. It's so close, right? It may be I hip. It's close. It's close between being totally unstressed. I lean toward I. I lean toward that being the I sound. Okay, hippopotamus. Is that the ah sound or the o sound? No. So this is definitely schwa. Okay, so we have a clear schwa sound. It's almost not there, right? It's almost not there. Pa. Okay, so a pa. Pa. All right, clearly that is the stressed syllable. That's stressed. Tumus. 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 So if this were potamus, then that would be the short A sound. Ta, a, or ah, tamus. Ta, or a would be the short A sound. But this is tumus, tumus, tumus. It's moving very quickly, and it's this neutral tumus, tumus. Pa, t. So this one is also the schwa sound. And this mus. I think, just like the I think that's closer to you because it's mus. It's a little longer. It's not super fast. Potamus. Again, you could argue that that's the schwa sound. It's kind of close to it, but it's not stressed. Now, the other thing here is that this T is that light D sound. Is that light D sound we talked about. Instead of potamus, it's probably potamus. 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 Oh, that must there. I'm leaning toward the schwa on that one. I'm conflicted. And that's okay. You know, that's fine. I think this one could be either a pretty unstressed short U sound or schwa. I think this one could be a pretty unstressed short I sound or schwa. Okay. So, hippopotamus, 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 hippopotamus. Now, the interesting thing about this is, if we do the abbreviated version of this word, which is HIPPO, which is what people often say when they see a hippopotamus jumping out of the river and chasing them down, they don't say, "Oh no, I'm being chased by a hippopotamus." They say, "I'm being chased by a hippo, hippo, hippo." So hippo, that no longer is the schwa sound. If it's shorter, it is pronounced in full, clearly as the O sound. I'm being chased by a hippo, 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 hippo. So there, that word hippo, hippo, hippo clearly has an I and clearly has an O. So it doesn't have any schwa sounds. Pretty interesting. Okay, so I encourage you to try this out for yourself, looking at other words. Pick 3 to 4 or 5 words that are longer than 2 syllables, 3, 4, 5 syllable words, and then listen to them pronounced. The key to getting the pronunciation right and detecting the schwa sound is using your ears. Listen to an online recording of the pronunciation. Any dictionary or Google or whatever, anything allows you to click on the sound and listen and listen and listen and listen and listen. That's why I said each one, 40 times, so you can listen many times. You hear, you can label it. You can write it down and label it just like I did. You can hear the stressed syllables, you can hear the unstressed syllables, and you can hear the ones that are the schwa sound. And some, again, are, is it the schwa sound or just an unstressed syllable, not super clear? That's okay. Label what you think it is, right? And then practice it until your sound sounds like what you're hearing. Match it. This is developing your listening skills and is also developing your ability to pronounce things naturally. Honestly, the schwa sound is a very big part of what makes natural pronunciation actually natural. It's very important to focus on. It's very important to know. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. If you haven't done so already, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. And also, check out my courses in the links in the description.